We're doing an interview on Mary G. Ramos, and this is my father, Javier Oliva.
Hello, how do you do?
First of all, how did you meet her?
I met her through your mom, and very nice individual. The very first time I met her, I got a very positive impression of her because given her age and everything, she was well educated. And back when she was growing up, there wasn't too many Hispanics that were very educated at that time, and she was one of them. She impressed me with her vocabulary, and that's how I met her. I'll never forget that time.
Did you get along with her very well?
I did, and it was a matter of fact, it was something that where we clicked together, or I don't know, we just had the right energy, and we just started talking like we were old friends that very first time that we met, and then ever since then, I got into her heart and she got into my heart, and so we became very, very good friends. So.
What was your favorite memory about her?
My favorite memory of her was she was always trying to feed me. Every time that I was going over, are you hungry? Have you eaten? Always taking care of others, and I think that was her mission in life, is to take care of others. And I'll never forget that about her, because she never closed her doors to anyone. Her doors and her heart was always open, and she was always very genuine. There was no falseness about her, and she was always being very good towards others. There was no evil thoughts or anything to try to hurt or hinder other people. Her mission in life, I think, because of her job, she fit well into that job, because she was work for the state and try to help the poor people out. And I think that's what gave me a lot of respect for her. That made me think a lot about her.
What is one thing that she was known for?
For uniting people and for giving advice. A lot of people go to her home and ask for advice, and she had a rosary, because she was a very, very devout Catholic, and they had a rosary. But even after the rosary would end in someone else's home, they would always come to Ms. Ramos' home because they had problems, or they had to ask her for advice on this or on that. She had the wisdom of a million years. You could ask her anything, and she had that wisdom about her, that she would always give you the answer that was correct. Maybe it wasn't the one you wanted to hear, or the one you thought was better, but she would always end up proving herself right.
Did you step into her home?
Yes, I did. I stepped into her home, and I mowed her lawn. I had the privilege of mowing her lawn every so often. I went into her home, and anything that she needed, I was always available for her, because I felt that someone who had given so much to the community and to others, I was nobody to deny her any help. So I felt like an obligation and an honor to help her.
What was the kind of vibe you got into her home?
Very serene, very calm, a lot of love, almost as if though you were stepping into a church. You felt loved, you felt welcome. I never got a bad vibe, if that's the question. I never got a bad vibe. I always got a very good vibe about her. So did my wife at the time. She loved her a lot, and we always felt comfortable with her.
Is she considered family to you, even though
Yes.
she's technically not our blood?
She's considered family to me, because I think that family doesn't necessarily have to be blood, and I think that family, the way I see it, is someone who cares about you, someone who loves you, who unconditionally gives you advice, and no matter what your faults are, still loves you. And I think that's the definition of family, not just because you're born into it. There's an old saying that says you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family, and I think that that's a little wrong, because you can choose your family. And in this case, I feel privileged and honored to be considered Ms. Ramos' family, and it wasn't the other way around. I think that she took me in as her family, and she had a very large extended family, and I'm proud to be a member of that family.
Did she ever tell you stories about her past, and if so, which one was like the one that you remembered the most?
I think the one that always comes to mind, that brings a smile to my face, and I'll always hold it dear, that she had something about her that ants wouldn't bite her. So anytime she would go, when she was a younger girl, she would pick on somebody, and she would run to an ant pile so nobody would get near her, because the ants would get everybody else except her. So that was the thing that I always remember that about her. But well, even the ants liked her.
There was one thing that struck my curiosity about something in her home, like a specific room was a pink room. Do you ever step foot in that pink room?
Yes, I did, and I think that was a room that she would call her serenity room, or her unwinding room. I think she mentioned it one time. I think that's when she would go in, and that's they say that colors give people a different vibe, and colors bring out the best in you or the worst in you, and I think that pink, from what I've learned, is a color that brings subtleness to you and calms you down. And I think that's also has a lot to do with her because she was a very loving person, and I think that was her color. She was born into that color.
Okay. What did it symbolize to you?
Her love for the world, her genuine love for the world, and I think that room to me was her place for unwinding and maybe as a catalyst, maybe letting go of everybody's problems, because she carried a lot of people's problems, and people would come to her and listen, I've got this problem with my child, with my husband, with my wife, with my kids, and I think that was her room to unwind. So she never mentioned that to me, but I always figured that one out myself.
Oh, okay. I know she's not here with us right now, but what's the last thing you would tell her?
The last thing I remember telling her that I love her. I remember I would always tell her before I would leave the house. I always tell her I love you. I would always tell her I love you, and that's something that she taught me. And she says, you never know when you're not going to be around anymore, so you have to tell people you love them every time you see them. Because if you don't, then that might be the last chance that you're going to have to tell them. So don't be an ugly person. Always be a good person. And always try to do good to others, because others will see that in you and they will always come and help you. In your time of needs, God will always send somebody to you. And I always remember that about her. I always remember that about her.
You wouldn't say anything else?
Yes, I would just say that if anyone knows her past, that she was working for the state at one time. From what I heard, the people that I met, since I'm a mailman, I've met a lot of people. And every so often, people will tell me that they knew her, and they would say that she was a very kind person, that she went out of her way to help people out, that she wouldn't just do it on the clock or on work hours. She would put in her own time to go and help people out. And that says a lot about an individual. I think that her passion was to help people in life. It wasn't anything about money. It wasn't anything about being greedy or about trying to elevate herself on a soapbox above others. I don't think that was her agenda at all. Her agenda was always just to genuinely help people and maybe help everybody along the way in life. And I think she's a good steward and a good shepherd.
Well, thank you for doing this interview with me, Dad. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.